Alute to continua, the struggle continues. This is King Salim Khalfani's Let's Get Busy. It's Wednesday. We're on from 9 to 10. And we like to say our struggle continues. We are very grateful to those whose shoulders we stand upon in our forward march towards our inevitable liberation. You know, for many a year, when I was young and handsome, I was the executive director of the Virginia State Conference in AACP. I am now senior consultant with Commonwealth Consultation, LLC. We know how to win. We can help you win. We got a winner on stage here next to me, just coming out of the John Marshall High School graduation.
Yes,
Gold
sir.
justices.
Yes, sir.
And we need some justice.
Yes, sir.
Right about now. We've got the Honorable Reverend Tyrone Nelson, Varina District, Henrico County Board of Supervisors, and pastor of the historic 6 Mount Zion Baptist Church. Welcome, my brother.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here.
It's a privilege and honor to have you. This young man and I go way back. I think he was a baby back then. No, I'm not that old. But we go back to that Baptist General Convention building for many a year, man. It's good to watch your growth and development and your contribution to the city, the county, and the Commonwealth of Virginia, man. We're glad to have you.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. I was thinking about that today. So it was 2002. Yeah, 2002 when I was working at the BGC.
Yes, sir.
From 02 to 05, and I used to just sneak away.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And,
yes, sir.
You dropped that knowledge on me, and so
yes, sir.
you know, you've always been one of those brothers I respect for keeping it real.
And we thank you, man. And Henrico County, you know, a lot of times people say Henrico County gets a pass, but we're glad to have Brother Frank Thornton as the chair, and you representing the Varina District. And we've got some changes going on after almost 3 decades. We got a new, well, I don't want to say new, a different county manager. And we got some historic things taking place. And we want to talk about some of those things. And how is pastoring, brother?
Hey, well, you know, 10 years, man.
Yes, sir.
In July, we'll be celebrating 10 years.
10 years. Yes,
being at 6 Mount Zion. So this is, you know, I would say 95% of the time it flies by.
Yes, sir.
Every now and then I'm reminded that it's 10 years. But most of the time, it's been a great time, man. I'm an urban kid by nature, so I love pastoring in the city, and I wouldn't want to do anything else.
And where else, what better place than 6 Mount Zion?
Yes, sir.
When the powers that be decided to run 95 through our historic neighborhoods, Navy Hill, Jackson Ward, and Fulton.
Yep.
And I was on the redistricting commission at one time, and I got to read the minutes of the meetings. They wouldn't do it as council. That was when we had all white councils. They created an authority to do their dirty deeds, and man, they demolished those communities, and the only thing standing was the church, brother.
Yes,
it looked like Hiroshima and Nagasaki
Yes, sir.
had hit Richmond, and the only thing standing, man, I'll never forget aerial photo.
Yes, sir.
Was 6 Mount Zion on Duval Street.
Time Dispatcher is wearing a picture that, you know, just kind of an area piece.
Yes.
So we talk about it in the church every now and then. You know, I'm reminded even now when we look at the Armory. You know, working on the Armory, making a Black History Museum.
Yes.
You know, just the lineage of what our church, you know, has been through. Like my first year or two, I think it was our second year, 2006. They were looking to turn that building, the old Armory building, into some upscale apartments. So developer, I think I remember a guy, Patrick Kilberg, he and some of his partners wanted to turn into some upscale apartments. We took 100 people down to the city council, sat through a 4-hour meeting, and they ended up voting to leave it be for the time being. And I felt like that was, now as I ride by, I'm thankful that we, again, in the history of the struggle for what our church has stood for.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, it's been, it's been a blessing.
That's deep. And you think about that, 100 people and the impact. One of the things I like to say about the RIC, the capital city, is that before we went to at-large mayor, big city mayor, and more money got into play. When I was a college student, I used to go to city council and be a part of the discussion, and that regular people, man, could really influence the process. And when you go away from the ward system and do bigger things, it makes access a lot harder. And as you know, that we need the access. We must participate. No participation, no right to speak, no right to eat.
We talked about that last week, and I think that's, that statement, we get a pass, actually probably is true.
Yes, sir.
We have 100,000 more people in, actually probably 120,000 more than in the county than we do in the city. Probably as many African Americans live in Henrico County as they live in the city of Richmond. Yet we don't have that same level of participation. And so, you're talking about people coming, sitting in the board meetings, work sessions. I tell cats that all the time. Come, if you want to find out what's really going on, you need to come sit in our meetings, hear what's going on, versus hearing about it secondhand from the Richmond Times-Dispatch or some 6, 8, and 12, was trying to skew the angle for what it is they're trying to sell. So,
and brother, we throughout, man, for ages, we've trained people. Look, go and sit in the back of the room with a legal pad. You don't even have to open your mouth. And be there. Your presence changes the discussion. Because the participation is so few and far between that when we're in the building, what are they doing? You don't even have to write. You can even pretend to write. But really, we need to be attentive, and we need to know. Ellen Robertson, when she was vice president of Richmond City Council, she was on my radio show, Let's Get Busy, the radio show on 1450 WCLM. And she said once, 9 people make decisions over close to $700 million budget of our money. Don't you think you should have some say-so?
Look, in the county of Henrico, 5 people, over $1 billion. And so, it's funny that you say this. I tell people this all the time. If you come into the room and we're having a meeting, you better know if we don't know who you are, we want to know who you are. And I'm being honest. I don't care who you are. You come in, your presence, your physical presence, just being there is going to elicit some type of response, whether it's verbal or nonverbal. So we just got to get in the game and find out what's going on. So.
We really do. We really do. Now, you represent the Varina district, but you vote on everything that happens
in the whole county.
Henrico, we've got schools, economic development. We've got folks I know always trying to build and change, rezone. What are some of the top issues you'd like to make the people aware of?
Well, I think the 2 you just said, money drives everything. So that's the first thing. I say economic development, zoning, rezoning, where you build, how you build, level of housing, education, all of those things tie in together. So it's impossible to take one issue isolated from everything else and feel like everything doesn't go together. So we do, from a Board of Supervisors perspective. So this is the difference between the city of Richmond and Henrico County, or Chesterfield and Henrico and Richmond. So the city has an elected leader, which is the mayor. Mayor can serve 8 years tops. Then you got 9 board members that represent like 25,000 people. In Henrico, you have 5 board members who represent about 60,000 plus people.
Big district.
Right. 60,000 plus. And then we have 1 person that works for us. That's the county manager.
That's right.
All 10,000 employees then work for the county manager.
That's right.
And so the system is not as political, because you got 4 or 5 people that are trying to be elected versus 9 and the leader being elected. And so, you know, you can have more continuity, but on the other hand, you can also be lulled to sleep, you know, by people,
Yes,
you know, if you're not paying attention, you just go along to get along. So one of the things that we're looking at now, young brother that works with me on the planning commission, he's in his 30s, he works for the State Housing Development Authority now, worked for Richmond Redevelopment Housing. We committed to setting a tone with development in the area, because we know that even though it's going to take time, right and proper development will shape the rest of the community.
Yes, sir.
So if you got the right people living in the community, you got a balance, then you have a balance with the type of retail, commercial, businesses, job opportunities, and then when you got a balance with people, you got balanced school systems.
Yes, sir.
So right now, most of, if not all of the poverty in Henrico County is concentrated in Varina and Fairfield. And that's, you know, both of those districts.
Eastern Henrico.
Right, and Fairfield is, you know, 80-90% African American, and Varina is about 55%. So, you know, where the color is where the poverty has been concentrated. And those are, listen, let me just say this last piece. So you think about, if you ever ride down, going to Highland Springs, right where New Bridge is, all right? Somebody had to make the decision that we were going to put up 2,000 units of apartments, you know, and then they were going to become Section 8 at some point. And thus, you know, there is no balance of how we spread out. We haven't deconcentrated it.
Yes,
you
sir.
know, and so
Yes, sir.
That's
a move that's going on all over the country, because in the city, and part of it borders Henrico, because Creighton and Whitcomb are next on the list that they're converting this public housing, which is all in prime time, downtown, close proximity to the city. And I remember watching the movie Candyman many moons ago, and they were taking Robert Taylor Home's housing projects, one of the biggest islands of poverty in the world, and they were making them high-dollar condos and single-family dwellings. And that is the wave, and that's what's happening, and we have to participate. Brother, I know you see, we've always said, no participation, no right to speak, no right to eat. You must participate, and not just about emotional issues, but the things we consider boring. Because, as you say, you always follow the money, follow the dollar, follow development. And people's interest and these corporations. Can you speak to that a little bit?
You know, we need to do a better job, I know, in Henrico with the minority participation, particularly in getting contracts, et cetera. Our SWAM numbers look, you know, I mean, if you throw the SWAM number out there, 30, 40% or whatever be the case, but most of that goes to small businesses and goes to women. We need to do a better job with the minority piece.
And many of us say SWAM is a sham.
I hear
because they made it SWAM. And we've been working to get the definition changed, because the state generally sets the tone. Because I know, we've been doing research on Henrico, and Henrico basically says, the Virginia Public Procurement Act is our guide, and we know that VPPA, and you know, things weren't set up to be fair. You know, the world is round. They didn't promise us it was fair, and we have to do our due diligence. But yes, those SWAM numbers.
Yeah, we need to get them up, and I think what we need to do is, you know, me and Ms. Thornton are there, and if some way people feel cheated or feel like they're not getting a fair shake, you know, bring it to our attention so we can, you know, I say you can't hold me accountable if you don't tell me. So,
and
you know,
they have to bid, right?
Yeah.
Because I know people say, oh, it's not fair. Well, what was the project that you bidded on? And so we want participation. We often say, no participation, you have no right to speak or complain, but you've got to at least try and give them a chance so you can get the documented evidence. I know that's very important. What about one of the things we mentioned was this, they often say two Henricos, one east, one west. Where is the development? Where are the newer schools? Where are these various and sundry things? We got limited resources. Is that changing, or do you see change on the horizon?
I think it can. So here's the thing. I got into a heated conversation with a sister on Monday night, and technically we spend more dollars per kid in the East, but that's padded with state, federal. We need more support in our East Henrico schools, so we spend more money in East Henrico. The problem is, we say we need new buildings. We need stronger structures, I think, within the schools, within our communities. There is nowhere else to build in Henrico but the East. So the challenge in the future is, do we start losing development to Goochland and Powhatan, which is on the west side of Western Henrico?
Yes, sir.
Or do we start investing on the east side? I think a part of some of our challenges is the county has set it up because of development to a certain degree. When you concentrate poverty, then you do get schools. When you got a high poverty level in a particular community that needs more insulated services with it, et cetera, it may not be performing as well, as some of the schools where you got where you've concentrated, higher income levels, more support systems, et cetera. So we put the poverty in one place, and then if the schools underperform, then you have companies that say, I don't want to build a company there, or move a company to this place, or developers come and say, which is what they've been trying to do. That's why development is being slow in East Henrico, because I refuse to take an inferior product. So
yes, sir.
You're not going to tell me that you can build a house in the West End, tell me that you can build the same exact house and you're going to sell it for $250 over there, but you can't sell it but for $190. Thus, you're going to build it with all vinyl, no brick, no stone. 10, 15 years, the house ain't worth 2 cents. So,
yes,
that's the struggle, trying to find a blend and thinking through all of that while yet trying to educate your people.
Yes,
because ultimately, at the end of the day, the education of our people is the hardest thing that I'm struggling with.
Yes,
so, you're not pleased with a principal, you don't like a teacher, then get people together and speak out against it.
Yes,
the more people, the more power comes with your voice versus, again, no knock, but you could turn 300 people out to speak against a doggone Family Dollar store, but we can't get 20 people, to come out, so that's the struggle.
Yes,
the struggle for me, I tell people all the time, there's no, if he is, I don't know where he is. There's no man sitting in some ivory tower pushing buttons and we puppets, We're in the process and we can be involved, but, we gotta educate ourselves.
Yes,
sometimes we care about the wrong stuff, and that's that's the challenge. So we gotta hold each other accountable.
That's right.
I'll fight, but I'm not gonna be out here fighting and then you ready to shoot me in the head while you out here doing nothing.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
Yeah.
No participation, no right to eat, maybe even. And ladies and gentlemen, an elected official, President Barack Obama told us, make me do it.
Yep.
He said, put your marching shoes on. Yep. He said, stop whining and crying. And put your boots on.
Yeah,
let's get busy.
I didn't tell you that, but I pretty much told you that. Hold us accountable.
Yes, sir.
If you see stuff that we need to do, get up in our face and make us do it. And if we're not doing it, then say that we're not doing our job. But we don't have enough people. The stuff that people come to us about is small focused. It's the
we've got a crisis, and we have to train people. And look, ladies and gentlemen, Commonwealth consultation, maximum impact.
Yes,
we're going to be doing training sessions. How to participate? I was fortunate, bro, coming up in Cleveland. With Carl Stokes, the first urban mayor in the 60s and all, coming here. My political science professor, Frank Gales, was the treasurer for Richmond City. They used to take us to council. They took us to the Virginia General Assembly and learned at a young age, and that was the benefit. Man, I've been 30 continuous years in the Virginia General Assembly. I know more than most governors because people come and they do cycles. I haven't been in a cycle. And what the heck good is it for me to know that and my people not know? And we're giving it away, ladies and gentlemen. We want to train you in these processes, how to make a paper or an ordinance become law, a bill, these kinds of things, so that you can be a help to your elected representatives.
And hold us accountable. So you brought up the election piece. I don't even know how much time we got left, but that's a whole nother, how people come to me all the time, talking about running for seats in the General Assembly. Why? Why would I run? I'm on a board of supervisor in Henrico County. We have $1 billion budget, and we make decisions that impact the whole county. Why would I leave that?
5 people.
Yeah, why would I leave that and go be in a corner office somewhere in the minority in the House of Delegates, and we are it just doesn't make sense.
And one of 100. One of 100. Let's take this call. Welcome to Let's Get Busy, caller. Do you have a question for our member of the Board of Supervisors or myself?
Okay, black man, peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings to you, my brother. How are you?
We're doing fine, and to Reverend Nelson, thank you for all you do. Hey, cowboy here, I just came in from the pork festival down in Virginia, down there with all the craziness.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We understand.
I say that because of economic gains. I mean, my thing, Reverend Nelson, when I see what goes on at other localities, it's like Richmond is a ghost town. I mean, I know over the East End, they should have had another high school. I mean, Varina's busting out the scenes. I don't know if you know this, sir, but they got some serious gang problems over at Varina High School. I mean, people don't want to say it, but, Brother Khalfani, we had private discussions about what goes on at the football games. I mean, they had a little food fight, a couple months ago that everybody knew about where they had some arrests. And all I'm saying is that Reverend Nelson, people had to be held accountable. I mean, you guys, elected officials, y'all can't wave no magic wand and do anything. I mean, just think about why you should understand why it's so important for them to come out and voice themselves, sir.
Yes, sir.
You want me to go ahead and respond?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And first of all, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling in and making the comments. And I'm going to, I'll address both of those. You said something about the school and then gang activity, so I'll deal with the school first, which again goes back to what I was saying, education. So right now, Varina High School has a capacity for 1,950 students. All right? There's only 1,604 students at Varina. 8 years ago, it was over capacity. The trend now has kind of stabilized, and we're 300 students below capacity. So
it isn't like the rumors have it that you busting out the seams.
No, that's incorrect. So I'm gonna respectfully disagree with my man. We're 300 students below. Varina High School is actually the second or third lowest capacity high school in the county right now. So Highland Springs has about 150 more students. But here's the challenge. I grew up in the city, all right? Richmond City, I grew up in the West End there, Bird Park, so I ain't grew up in the hood for real. But anytime I hear about gangs in Varina, it took me 3 years to even acknowledge the fact that, we got some challenges. Gangs are different now. And so it's not all about the dollar and as much as it is the geographic or about self-esteem, trying to be a part of a group. So I agree, we got some challenges. I met with the police about a month ago. There are a couple gangs out there. I think the big brawl that was televised by kids, which is another problem. I could talk about all this stuff. We talk about the white man, but here's the thing. That fight set back that school 2 or 3 years, and there wasn't a white man in that cafeteria but one who was breaking up the fight. Those were all our kids beating each other to death, standing on tables, recording it, talking about Pookie got his A beat. You see what I'm saying? That's us. So we got to hold each other accountable too. But yes, to acknowledge we got some there is some organized gang activity in East Henrico, and we need to get on it and break it up before the police able to do what they
criminalize us
because
for disciplinary issues that
and before you know, if they start certifying these kids and these groups as gangs, then they start going backwards and certifying all those crimes, tagging them together, and then you got a bigger problem. Thanks, bro.
Yeah, thank you, brother. We appreciate your support and your questions, man. And we look forward to working with you, brother. And we appreciate all the work you do for young people and getting them in secondary education and in the proper training and jobs, brother.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, cowboy. All right, hotel. Yeah, brother. And that's a deep piece. You know, I always talk about what's on our agenda, and I was meeting with one of our mentors, Marilyn H. West, and she spoke so highly of you, and I said, I wanted to take some credit for you, but
you helped shape the mind.
But sister, you're well respected, brother, and you have integrity. And see, now the people know you own. The phone is ringing. Welcome to Let's Get Busy. Caller, your question or comment, please.
I just want to make a comment. I
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
the program and
Yes,
the
sir.
gentlemen that are hosting it. You said something key, and you said education. And with education, I'm not thinking in terms of the schools, public schools, but education's in the community, education's in the family and the home. Because, like you said, Varina incidents, those are our people. And where's the churches? Who's going to teach our kids to be better? So what I'm really saying is I think we need an assault on the media, because a lot of that's reflective behavior from what they're witnessing nationwide with these phones and recording fights and just basically destroying their own communities. And lastly, once again, I think that the educational system, getting the word out to people on their responsibilities to the community, not putting it all on the Reverend's shoulders or your shoulders, King, to do the job for them, that we have to get back to focus and unity. And on that note, I say keep it going and have a great one. Listen
All right. Thank you, brother.
So can I respond to that?
Yes,
I
sir.
think I appreciate that call. The brother kind of hit it on the head.
That's right.
The education piece that goes beyond. So here's the thing. When I was growing up, the responsibility to help shape me as a man first started with my family, with my people, with my community. The school was a supplement. It's now, now it's almost like we depending on the school to raise our kids, and we're going to hell in a handbasket if we're going to continue to focus. You can't spend enough money to give a kid the proper First of all, you can't send a kid into an environment with people with an all-white staff, principals, and full of black kids, and expect that you're gonna get your kid raised the same way you were raised. So there are some things that my mom and my dad and my grandmother and my granddaddy instilled, things I learned while I was in church, things I learned while I was in the boys and girls club growing up, in my community, with people in the neighborhood. So I think it starts with the home. Yes, and again, that's the accountability piece. We got to hold each other accountable. Right. If I see your kid acting crazy, I need to be able to, without worrying about you ready to fight me or do something to me, I need to be able to pull your kid to the side and say, look, your dad wouldn't want you acting like this. You don't need to teach. Because
Zinga and Ra, if Reverend Nelson catches you, you know what's going to happen.
But that's the way, because what happens is when you start letting other people discipline, if they get sent to the office in school, they're going to probably get put out. And if you go to Henrico schools prior to, next year, our student resource officers are going to pull way back.
Yes, sir.
But if you went, so this is what happened in Henrico school. Me and you get into a fight. All right? This is what we're going to get put out for 5 to 10 days.
Yes, sir.
And then the officer, because the officer is there and is there, that's what police do. They're not counselors or teachers. They are supposedly to protect and serve. So the police officer going to give us an assault charge. So me and you can be in the street for 10 days. Then we got to go sit before the juvenile court judge for her to tell us, if you come back in here again, I'm going to lock you up, yada, yada, yada. So that's, we got to start at the house. That's where we got to start.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let's get busy. Caller, your question or comment, please.
Hey, how you guys doing? This is Aaron Turner. How you guys doing?
Hey,
What's up,
Brother
man?
Turner, how are you?
Good, good.
Good. Boy, we got Baptist General all over here, bro.
Yeah.
Boy, yes, sir. Boy, we go back.
Aaron is the man. Yes, sir.
Miss
Definitely.
Turner.
I'd like to salute both of you guys. You know, you're doing an awesome job.
Thank
and,
you.
know, one big thing, Pastor Nelson, accountability, definitely accountability is the key thing. And, you know, we got to start at home. And, you know, I think we need to put more, you know, I guess our efforts into maybe training families or, you know, training parents to, you know, actually teach, you know, the kids. Because, like you said, you know, we can't depend on the school system or, you know, any of them things. You know, we got to go back to home and the foundation. So, you know, but again, like I said, I salute both of you guys, and, you know, both of you guys are my role models, and, you know, and just keep up doing, you know, what you're doing.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Take
much.
it easy,
We
man.
appreciate
Yes, sir.
that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get you to your family so you can do some parenting.
Yes, sir.
Brother came right from John Marshall High School's graduation and graced us with his presence. But in closing, what would you like to leave with the people that are watching you this evening?
I think to circle back to what we said at the beginning, and you know, I'm glad. You know, I'm looking forward to us working together.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
we're meeting together next week. Me, you, Mr. Thornton, my brother. And I'm looking forward to what's going to come out of that. Hold us responsible. You do your part, we'll do our part. And I think at the end of the day, we should have a better community.
Yes, sir.
And so, you know, I think that's it. You know, we could talk all day. I think sometimes the problem is we talk too much and we don't do enough.
Make
you
it
know,
plain,
it's just
brother.
out there,
Make it
you know. Holding each other accountable. That's what I say. Like, and then it's, you know, misinformation, man. It's people need to pay attention.
Yeah.
Shows like this and just
then
kind of
that's
get real
crucial,
talk.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Because, bruh, I was victim of that because all I kept hearing was, Varina's overcrowded. Varina needs a new school. Varina is busting at the seam. And we thought that about multiple city schools. And we find out they are way beyond below capacity.
Right.
And they need to do something with these buildings and whatnot. And like you say, it's not always the aesthetics or the buildings, because when we were in tar shacks, we were getting world-class training and education.
I went to Thomas Jefferson High School, man. Archaic building.
Yes, sir.
We weren't thinking about no new building. We were just, it was all about the relationships. Varina High School, anybody have anything to say about Varina? $30 million is what the county of Henrico and what the taxpayers put into through a bond referendum. They put $30 million into that building that was just completed in 2013. Varina High School is a new high school. You know, it's 300 people under capacity. So killer building talk. Now, if anybody in Varina, you're listening to me now, you want to do something, go to school, go next September, go during the summer, meet the principal, tell her you're going to volunteer. Give you one kid to mentor, one class to set in, and you're going to make a difference.
Wow. Boom. Now you've got your marching orders, brother. I want to thank you for coming and participating with Let's Get Busy here at Comcast 95, Verizon 36. Ladies and gentlemen, after a brief respite, we're going to get Reverend Nelson home so he can take care of his own. He's got children in the school system.
Yes, sir. 3 of them.
And we're very appreciative of you. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. We are back. This is King Salim Khalfani's Let's Get Busy. And we've got with us brother who goes a long way back with me. I'm always telling my age, and ladies and gentlemen, but I'm proud to be here because many of us leave here far too soon. And so yeah, my son likes to say I'm 99. So I'm a good-looking 99. But anyway, seriously, we have brother Imani Shabazz, who's founder, president, CEO of Maximum Impact, LLC. And he's an entrepreneur, business person. He's an artist, activist, and revolutionary. And he's a thespian. I like to call him that, a thespian, because he's an artist, and he's an artist in more than one field. And I know he's going to be doing a lot of good work this week and this weekend in the field of drama, etc. But we've got other kinds of drama we have to deal with. So welcome, Brother Shabazz. It's good to have you here, man. Good to be with you. You know, we're coming on the heels of the Honorable Tyrone Nelson from Varina District, Henrico Board of Supervisors and pastor. And we've been talking about participation. And that, you know that, as Ellen Robertson has said, he says $1 billion, 5 people making decisions. And they make decisions over basically every aspect of our lives. Every aspect is done through that legislative process, whether it's local, state, or federal. And so many of the things he talked about are things that we as Maximum Impact and Commonwealth Consultation have joint ventured to address. Brother, I like to say we're the best trained killer whales at SeaWorld, brother. We've been through training, and in various and sundry things. Now, you were around, you heard some of the things that Henrico may need. We know what Richmond needs. We know what the Commonwealth needs. Let's tell the people some of the things that we can do to help them, not only as a system or as a district, but in your individual families. We already talked about training parents. You don't have to be a parent of a child in school, but just adults, young people, how to get things done in these legislative bodies, and how to advocate for your children or for yourself, or if you don't want a Family Dollar, if you do want new schools, if you do want job creation, we know how to get it done. Yeah, bro. So let's see, Maximum Impact. Tell us about Maximum Impact and what brought you into founding that company, and what services do you offer?
Yeah, bro, as you kind of already alluded to, for me, Maximum Impact was a necessity because it gave me an opportunity to take a lot of the skills and the tools that I've learned over the years and have been implementing for everybody else, and find a way to be able to do that, for myself. One of the things that was really important to me, and has always been important to me, is to really be engaged in our community in terms of really being able to develop solutions, man, to the problems that we face. And we've learned long time ago that we can't do those things by ourselves. We have to do them in the phase of some sort of organization. And so as I have lent my time, if you will, and expertise to a number of nonprofits, for-profits, and elsewise, I really wanted to look at what opportunities were available for me to just be able to work in the capacity that I wanted to, and to really be able to meet our people's needs at the level that I wanted to. And so Maximum Impact, my consulting really is around primarily the issues of cultural awareness and cultural sensitivity, providing training around cultural competence, if you will, for both community sector and those other agencies that interact with our communities on a regular basis. I can provide training in a number of areas, but the things that I think that are, I guess, key to highlight are cultural awareness training, being able to enhance relationships, if you will, between particularly those sectors where there's tension. We know there's a lot of national conversation right now around how police interact with communities, and we're trained to be able to deal with some of that, interaction and reduce the likelihood of more of our young people losing their lives.
And in a real way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not Harvard trained, read a book, look at some handouts. We're talking about experiential, hands-on.
Right.
And we can evaluate existing curriculums and programs that folks have. Because there's a lot of talk in this region about we're going through implicit bias training and Hanover, Richmond, Henrico, Chesterfield, everybody's taking it. And we've really been fortunate in this region without any really tragic circumstances of late. But with this long, hot spring and summer coming, we can't expect that to hold out for forever, because there have been tensions and tasering and other things. What can we offer to these municipalities that have sheriff's departments and police forces that would be good and that could bring people together, as opposed to looking at those who are to protect and serve us all, that we actually protect and serve
Exactly.
So
that, for me, and I should say for both of us in our conversations, that can be tackled in a number of ways. I think that one of the keys is really being able to provide opportunities for preventing, those circumstances from happening in the first place. And so when we look at both, when we, dissect it, when we're looking at the police officers, I should say just the law enforcement agency in and of itself, because it's really more than just officers. But when we look at it from that perspective, and as you kind of alluded to, there's an awareness now of unconscious bias and the impact that it has in terms of behavior. But what I've heard in different conversations, what I see is that they fail to address is the reality that in order to be able to kind of decrease that bias, it's something that has to be ongoing. It has to be something that's consistent. We didn't get to be 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus and behave the way we did and it be undone in a day's training. That would be nonsensical for anybody to accept. And so from our perspective, we can offer opportunities to be able to supplement that training, as you kind of alluded to, in a real way, where we can deal very directly and very specifically with and let's just give people the benefit of the doubt that they become aware of what some of these biases are and how they impact their behavior. Well, what kinds of things are you doing in terms of learning what the real needs are in this particular community, so that you can be more in tune with how you serve that particular community? Are you listening to the voices of the people in that community and not just responding to what you've been acculturated to believe? People are apt to behave in a manner, people are apt to behave in. We offer training, particularly with our young people, that can engage them in various aspects of the arts and other ways to also be incorporate some of these human relations lessons as well. As you indicated, I am both an actor, I'm a spoken word artist, I'm an MC, and I have programs dealing with each of those individual things that I have been able to impart, over the years with young people. But we've been able to solidify it in a way that we can deal very strategically, with some of the disparities around race, some of the disparities around class, and some of the other disparities that young people feel
and violence.
But don't know.
We've got limited amount of time, but part of the discussion in the callers, and we were talking about this world star record us fighting and conflict. Conflict is human, but how we resolve those conflicts can make the difference between life and death. incarceration and non-incarceration, suspensions and expulsions,
Right,
and
right.
all the drama. Man, I know as a young person, I stayed in conflict. I mean, we stay in conflict as adults. And I always wished, a brother, I was walking to the electric chair in the mid-90s, Joe Louis Wise, before he was executed in Old Sparky in the Virginia's electric chair. I said, if you could speak to young people, what would you have me tell them? And this brother who had, they said, like the mind of a 5-year-old, they said, tell them to think before they act. Something that simple. And that I wish, man, it was so profound, because when you're young and impulsive and you don't always think before you act, man, because what you do can land you in a lifetime of trouble.
Right.
And we know how to train and do ongoing things to get people to think and critically think before we act, because the consequences are far more serious than when I was a child, or even when you were a child. Can you speak to some of that a little bit?
Oh yeah, definitely, bro, definitely. That is really foundational when you talk about really being able to resolve some of the issues that we face when we look at our communities. For those of us who have taken the time to really spend time in our communities and have conversations with our people, and who aren't afraid to do that, we find that more often than not, the behavior that may get publicized, whether it's on World Star or else or whoever's star, is often a response. Ironically, it's often a response to the conditions that are actually oppressing them in the first place, but we've been acculturated to believe that for some reason or another we have the right to be able to do and say whatever it is that we feel like it, and as a result, not receive any consequences. So, that's a piece that we really need to deal with at its core levels. But the truth is, man, since we've been here, we've been faced with the reality that we are, as you used to say, subsisting under circumstances that make it really challenging for us to do anything other than act out.
And I want to add this to the equation, that I read 3 separate articles on yesterday in various newspapers. One was a Baltimore newspaper that talked about an egregious killing on Sunday at a fast food drive-through, where a brother was robbing this 28-year-old who had his 2 young sons in the car. They said he cooperated and took off his expensive jewelry, and his killer blew his head off anyway in front of his children on a Sunday, even with him cooperating. Let's roll to the Style Weekly here. They did back page. Mike Sarahan, Mr. Housing in Richmond, did a piece on Gilpin Court and called it a urban, or was it anyway, it's hot as hell because it's all asphalt and concrete, no vegetation, no trees, and when the heat hits, its environment is 50 to 90 degrees hotter than the air. And so when you have that kind of heat, and if you don't have an AC in those concrete prison cell buildings, and it's not just Gilpin Court, it's Mosby, Fairfield, Hillside, and every other one that we have here, and where we live. And you're more prone to disease, you're more prone to chronic diseases, and the overwhelming majority of the folks are young children. It's got to stifle our development. And so those living conditions. And the third was from the New Journal and Guide out of Tidewater, and it's called Missing Men. And they're talking about we are physically missing from our communities. And
Right.
where are we?
Right.
We mass incarcerated. We're in
Exactly.
jails and prisons, and the devastating effect
Exactly.
that has on our families.
Mm-hmm.
And man, this is a terrible thing. We've got to, that was my thing, we've got to do something. I want to say
yes.
to Miss Bernice Travers and Roxy Raines, Cornegay Allison, thank you for your call right before we came on the air, and thank you for your history of struggle. But brother, we've got to do something, man. That I was so traumatized, I had to start writing. And to try to deal with, we've got to do something. And I invited anybody that wants to change this current environment, current paradigm that doesn't work for any of us. It's not been working.
Right.
It's not working. We have got to do something, and we've got to do something now. We can't wait. It's going to be a long, hot summer. This past holiday 3-day weekend was one of the bloodiest on record. I thought we were getting together to eat, drink, and be merry. We got together to eat, drink, drug, stab, kill, shoot.
Yeah.
All over the place. And we act like this is normal behavior. No, I'm old, but I'm not jaded. Every man, fights bother me, man.
Yeah.
We have got to change this paradigm where we don't even address each other as human beings.
Right. And that's the thing, man, that I think that is missing in other areas too, in terms of some of the approaches from other agencies and other people. It really is about us reclaiming our humanity, like, you know, in a context that makes people respect it, but more importantly, makes us respect ourselves in the same regard.
And that's what we've got to do. And let me say, ladies and gentlemen, I've been so engrossed with my guests that I haven't said once the call-in number, 915-5202. Please forgive me, 915-5202. If you want to call and get in, we're down to about 6 or 7 minutes, but we got one more show left. But ladies and gentlemen, we want to get with Brother Shabazz. How can people reach you, brother?
Oh man, I can be reached.
Maximum Impact.
Yes, at 804-573-9706. Or you can email me directly at amanshabazz13@gmail.com.
All right, and you can reach me at theSuten, TheSuten@gmail, or 804-972-2525, Commonwealth Consultation, LLC. We know how to win. We can help you win. We're working in Henrico. We're working in Chesterfield. We're working in Richmond. We're working in the state. I've got some things and got some calls from the district, bro. We might have to go to the district. But ladies and gentlemen, we want to do the work right here.
Yes.
We can do the work. We've got years and years, decades of how to get it done.
Yes.
If you need the training, man, we've got to do something. We got to do something a little different. I want to just, from the book written by Dante Harley and King Salim Khalfani called I Dare You. We dare you. The things we do showing off. Showing off gets us in trouble. When you show off, you get tore off. But listen to this. Respect starts with yourself. Respect yourself first, and others have no choice but to respect you. Do not waste another second of your precious life trying to impress the unworthy. America has the most mentally ill, destructive society in human history. To put on a show for this insane crowd makes you twice as crazy. Let's get busy, caller. Can you give us your question or comment, please? Oh, you got to turn your TV down, please.
Hey, Salim.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing?
Oh, the struggle continues.
It's good to see you. And
Thank you.
For the shout out.
Yes, ma'am.
You're
Thank
here
you.
with me.
Yes, ma'am. That's Sister Roxy and Sister Bernice,
Yes.
who have paved the way for most of us to be here. And we honor you two sisters for the work you've put in, and for, coming out whenever we needed you to try to help us get the job done. So we thank you all so much. All right, thank you. That's Sister Roxy Raines, Cornegay Allison, and Madam Chair herself, Sister Bernice Travers. Well, brother, yeah, man, to put on a show.
Right.
And putting on a show, when you show off, you get tore off. We try to tell people, don't show off for your girlfriend, your wife, your friend, each other, because we want to put on a show, but putting on a show will get you incarcerated, it can get you assaulted, maliciously wounded, or even killed.
Yes.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have to show some humanity one to another. You can't, we walk by each other and act like we don't exist. Well, you got a thought, bro.
No, because you just made me think, man, a post, I'm not going to try to recall the whole thing verbatim, but to try to make it concise, man, if we don't start paying attention to how we identify ourselves and how we allow others to identify us, we ain't never going to create the conditions to be able to have love for each other. I can't have love for you if I see you as my N, or if I see you as my B.
Or a thug. You got the president of the United States calling us thugs, but in Waco, Texas, they're killing, mass killing, no problem. Right. But ladies and gentlemen, we've run out of time. Wish we had more time. I'd like to say if I had a little bit more time, we could really change the world. Want to thank Brother Imani Shabazz with Maximum Impact. Thank Reverend Tyrone Nelson, Varina District, Henrico Board of Supervisors. Thank the great callers. Thank those whose shoulders we stand upon in our forward march towards our inevitable liberation. We said that for so many years. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been Let's Get Busy. I want to thank my brother Akil X for his production skills and direction skills. And ladies and gentlemen, let's get busy. We have to do something and do it now. Brother Shabazz,
indeed, bro.
We'll be back next Wednesday, 9 to 10 p.m. Let's get busy.
No doubt.